Flames danced like demons in the night, tearing through the mansion as screams echoed from within. The air was thick with smoke, choking out every breath of hope. And in the chaos, a maid named Lila threw herself into the fire, not for money, not for praise, but for the sound of a small boy's cry coming from the inferno. She didn't know whose child he was. She didn't know that this single act would burn her old life to ashes and light up a truth that would change everything. Lila had been working at the Bennett estate for 3 months, a sprawling mansion owned by Daniel Bennett, a man known more for his success than his compassion. His company had built half the city, and his reputation left little room for mistakes or mercy. Lila was invisible there, scrubbing floors and dusting chandeliers while people in tailored suits walked past her like she was part of the furniture. Still, she was grateful. A roof, a salary, a chance to send money home to her mother, that was enough. Every morning, before the sun rose, Lila would stand by the window of the servants' quarters, watching as the world outside came alive. She often saw Daniel's son, Ethan, playing in the garden with his caretaker, a cheerful little boy of 6 with messy hair and eyes that could melt even the coldest heart. Sometimes, when no one was looking, Lila would make funny faces through the window just to make him laugh. It reminded her of her younger brother, who'd passed away years ago. She didn't know why, but Ethan's laughter made the ache in her heart a little lighter. That night, everything changed. The wind howled through the estate as thunder rumbled in the distance. Lila had just finished her shift and was folding her uniform when she smelled smoke, faint at first, then stronger, until it filled the air. She rushed into the hallway and saw a flicker of orange at the far end. Panic spread. Fire! Someone shouted. The alarms blared. Servants and guards ran in all directions. Without thinking, Lila grabbed a wet cloth and ran toward the source, the nursery wing. Her heart pounded. She could hear cries from behind the burning door. Help! It was a child's voice. Ethan. The heat was unbearable. The walls were alive with flames, but she didn't stop. She wrapped the cloth around her mouth, kicked the door open, and stumbled inside. The smoke was thick, blinding. She could barely see the small figure curled near the window, coughing and trembling. Ethan! She shouted, though she didn't even know his name yet. She scooped him into her arms, covering his face with the edge of her dress. The ceiling groaned above her as wood cracked and fell, sparks raining down like angry stars. Hold on, baby, just hold on, she whispered, running through the maze of fire. Her lungs screamed for air, her vision blurred, but she didn't let go. She burst through the hallway, half conscious, as the firemen broke in from the front. Someone caught them both, wrapping Ethan in a blanket. Lila collapsed on the floor, gasping, her arms still reaching for him even as she faded into darkness. When she woke up, the world was white, hospital white. Her hands were bandaged, her body aching, but she was alive. She blinked through the pain to see a man standing at the foot of her bed. Tall, composed, and distant, Daniel Bennett. His eyes, cold as glass, softened for the first time when he spoke. "You saved my son," he said quietly. "No one else could reach him. If it weren't for you," he trailed off, swallowing hard. For a man used to control, gratitude didn't come easily. "Thank you." Lila smiled weakly. "Anyone would have done it." He shook his head. "No, they wouldn't have." He hesitated before turning to leave, but something in his eyes, guilt, perhaps, lingered. Weeks passed. The mansion was rebuilt, and Lila was offered time off to recover. Yet something inside her had shifted. Every time she looked at the bandages on her hands, she remembered that night, the fear, the fire, the way she'd held that boy like he was her own. She'd never had much in life, but that moment had given her something money couldn't buy: purpose. But fate wasn't done with her yet. One morning, Daniel asked her to come to his office. His tone was calm but distant, his eyes scanning her face as if searching for something. "There's something I need to tell you," he began. He reached into a drawer and placed a worn photograph on the desk. Lila froze. Her breath caught in her throat. The photo was of a young woman, her mother, holding a baby in a hospital blanket. "I found this among my late wife's things," Daniel said softly. "My wife never told me, but it seems she once adopted a baby girl. Before she met me. The child was lost in an orphanage fire 20 years ago. The records were destroyed." He looked up. "That baby was you, Lila." Her knees went weak. "Me," she whispered, barely believing it. Daniel nodded, voice trembling for the first time. "Which means, you didn't just save my son. You saved your own brother." The room fell silent, heavy with shock and the hum of destiny. Lila's eyes filled with tears as years of unanswered questions flooded back. Her missing past, her mother's secrets, her strange pull toward this house. Everything made sense now. Daniel's voice broke through her thoughts. "I lost a daughter once. Maybe it's time I stop pretending that she's gone." Lila couldn't hold back anymore. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "And I lost a father I never knew I had." He stood, hesitant, then took a step forward and wrapped his arms around her. For the first time in decades, the walls of the Bennett mansion were filled not with fire or grief, but with warmth. From that day on, Lila didn't work for the Bennetts. She was one of them. But she still chose to stay, not as a maid, not as an employee, but as the daughter who had once run into a burning house to save the family she didn't yet know was hers. And sometimes, late at night, she'd tuck Ethan into bed, brush his hair from his forehead, and whisper, "No fire will ever touch you again, little brother." Because the flames that once tried to destroy them had, in truth, forged them together into something unbreakable.